light of the world, you've been hearing people tell you that if you're truly a Christian, so we don't have to stand up here and do that. And we could spend all of our time and his corruption and his cruelty and how he's a hazard to all those on this planet and everyone who lives on it. We can remind you of kids in cages and soldiers with targets on their backs and corrupt leaders and advisors consorting and bribing foreign governments in disregard for decency and honor. We could spend all afternoon reminding you of all those things. But friends, we're not here to remind you how bad Donald Trump is. We're here to remind you how good you are. Amen? This is about voting common good, and this is not going to be distracted by someone who can't do the job. This is going to be us raising up, waking up, speaking up, and standing up on Election Day. Because we ask people... take his little light and let it shine somewhere else and stop bothering the good people of this world. So we're here to do something about it. Now, every day you may have been complaining, like me. Maybe every day you've been yelling at your television set. But in 24 days, you actually get to put that into action and encourage somebody else. So we're going to give you a couple of commitments we're going to ask for you today to get involved. Now, we're really glad you're here because I got to tell you, there's an awful lot of people that say no to us. There's people that say, I don't want to be around groups. We understand it. There's some people that say, I don't want to be outside in the heat. We understand that. That's why we got under the beautiful tree of life here in the yard of Bethel Baptist Church. And there's people who say, I don't want to go because it's too political. We've had pastors tell us I can't speak at your events because it's about politics. We've had politicians tell us I get nervous coming to events where they start talking about religion. We're the Vote Common Good group, and this is no joke. We got kicked out of a Goodwill parking lot in Des Moines, Iowa, because they saw that bus. And I thought, how do you get kicked out of a Goodwill parking lot? Because there's a lot of people get nervous around faith and politics. There's a lot of people that get nervous around just one of those, let alone putting the two of them together. So we're really glad you're here because we need a bunch of yes people in this world too. And you know who you're surrounded by? A bunch of yes men and women. Why don't you applaud for each other? Look around. This is the kind of people that say yes and are willing to show up. And I will tell you who else said yes to us. And that's Pastor Miller, the pastor of this very fine church here. So Pastor Miller, thank you for being so kind as to say yes to us. And I'm going to throw another little mic cover up on here. And if you'd be so good to come up here and remind these good people why you were willing to say yes to us and allow us to be out here in your beautiful churchyard today. So come on up, would you?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Come on, let's get excited. Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, I am overjoyed to have you all here because I, like you, am looking forward to November 3rd so that we can send a clear message that, yes, people of faith do vote, and they don't just vote Republican. Amen? Listen, I am a child of God. I have been pastor here for 23 years. One of the things that I have done for the 23 years that I've been here is to make the point that there's a whole lot more to being a Christian than our concern about abortion or things like that we ought to be concerned about how we treat our fellow man, because the Bible teaches us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Amen. And so I am excited about seeing a change take place. Matter of fact, if there's ever been a time that our country needed a change, it is on November 3rd of this year. And so I am certainly excited that you have come together. I'm excited about the ministry that you are engaged in going all across this country, sharing the good news of change and letting people know that they don't have to be afraid to stand up for right and for righteousness and for integrity and for truth and for honor. Those are the things that we ought to expect from our leaders. Amen. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so thankful to be aligned with a group such as this. And I want you to know that you are welcome to Sarasota, welcome to Bethlehem, and anything that we can do to help facilitate the change that this country needs. We are here to make sure that it takes place, and we're looking forward to getting the votes out. Matter of fact, I can tell you that our congregation is fully engaged in getting the vote out, not just here in Sarasota, but in Manatee County and all across the state of Florida. We're trying to make sure that we get as many souls to the polls as we possibly can so that we can make a difference in this country. So welcome, and we're looking forward to an exciting afternoon.
Thank you, Pastor Miller.
We gotta let it shine, yeah, now let it shine, oh, let it shine, man, your little light shine, don't let apathy blow it out, you gonna let it shine, don't let fear blow it out, you gotta let it shine, don't let nobody blow it out now, let it shine, yeah, oh, let it shine, let your little light shine, yeah, this little light in mine, I'm gonna let it shine, oh, now this little light of mine, gonna let it shine, oh, now this little light of yours, oh, we all gotta let it shine, yeah, let it shine, let it shine, let your little light shine, yeah, let it shine, let your little light shine, yeah, let it shine, let it shine, let your little light, let your light, let your light, let it shine.
One more round of applause for Vince Anderson, everybody. Give it up for my boy. My name's Genesis B. I'm a hip-hop artist and an activist from Biloxi, Mississippi. You're probably like, man, where's your accent, though? I lost my twang. Brooklyn took it away from me. Replaced it with a Brooklyn accent. You believe that? The takers. So for the last 5 years, my activism has been surrounded around removing the Confederate emblem from the Mississippi state flag. And yeah, y'all can clap for that. That's cool. I'm really proud to say, oh, even the baby's clapping. Aw, I love you. You're so cute. As of June 30th, 2020, Mississippi retired that flag. It's no longer. It was the last state to have the Confederate emblem in there, and that fight did not start with me. That flag flew for 120 years. My ancestors fought against white supremacy and neo-Confederalism. My father fought against it, and my collaborators and I fought against it. And I say all that to tell you that change is happening. Sometimes it's hard when you're so close to the struggle to really see. It feels like we're taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But I'm here to let y'all know I'm coming from Mississippi to bear witness to you that change is coming. And if it can happen in Mississippi, it can happen all across the nation, all across the world. Because Mississippi is a microcosm of our country. It's the microcosm of our nation. Police exoneration and mass incarceration. Black and brown bodies, a commodity. Mothers separated from babies, border policy. It's like that White House is painted in the Klan's ideology, and our leadership is exploiting white poverty. Keeping us separate and divided, gay versus straight, white versus black, based off of fear and far from the facts. See, I hail from the state called the mighty Mississippi. It's the land of unsolved murder mysteries. I'm triggered by the trauma in my own family history. Because my dad was only 5 when the Klan drive-by bust bullets into his house with 6 children inside. On the back of the truck, a Confederate flag flying high. And these are the truths that some choose to deny. See, Mississippi, like America, eats your child and mine. The white supremacist lie is a prison of their own design. They forfeited their humanity in order to deny mine. Crazy, right? See, white supremacy is a lie. Some have accepted it. A Confederate curse they inherited. Bigotry is blinding, and their fear of the other has blocked their own blessings from the sisters and brothers. Outrage, fatigue, I'm screaming, I can't breathe. From the top, it trickles down, from the judges to police. Because the illusion of freedom is far more dangerous than any jail cell or cramped cages. Yes, Mississippi is a microcosm of my nation. Cowards replace white sheets with fake avatars, repeating their parents' folklore, tooth fairy, Santa Claus. The history's whitewashed. Google black codes and bylaws. In the comment section, sound off, sound off. Lord, they sound off, don't they? Don't they, Doug? They call me a nigger, a bitch, or a dyke. You call me whatever you like. I've been through worse in this fight. And the hatred in their words just proves that I'm right. Because Mississippi is a microcosm of a country that always needed me but never wanted me. My melanin and skin is a sin sentenced to build your economy. Pack the prisons, fill the quota, make us felons, never voters. Travel bans and deportation, killer cops, no resignations. Just federal indictments and mock trials, man. You see, my heart bleeds as the billboard reads, make America white again, as my favorite rapper concedes. Kanye. Making me question everything that I believe. And still, I love America. I do. Because I have hope. Some choose to jump ship, and some steer the boat. See, I know that love and humanity lives in the smile of every child, in the heart of every kid. So be brave enough to break the curse. We need you at the polls, out in droves, fighting against the bigots you oppose. Study law, run for office, make a call, write your Congress. Use your voice and choose a march. Ruth is gone, grab the torch. You can read a book, you can write a rap. Just speak with truth and deal with facts, please. Freedom and justice are under attack, y'all. Alt-right affiliation of Trump's administration, Confederate infiltration, neo-Nazis showing faces. Just fueling the fear and the hatred while expanding their corporations. Do you see now how Mississippi is a microcosm of my nation. I'm Genesis B, y'all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Rogers, and this, I thought it was going to be tougher today than I was on Monday, but it doesn't feel like that. Listening to Genesis rap really reminded me of ways that I contributed to the problems in this country. See, I was born and raised a fundamentalist Christian, grew up in a very conservative household, listening to Fox News every night, and religiously listening to Rush Limbaugh up until 2017, personally. And in 2016, not only did I vote for Donald Trump, but I voted for him enthusiastically. I was a part of an online community in this forum that has now been banned from the website of which it was hosted by, and I actively participated in trying to get Trump elected in any way that I could. And even though I was baptized at 13 years old, I was converted in the fall of 2017. I was converted to who I now see that Jesus really is. My entire life, I spent flipping over tables. But unlike Jesus, I flipped over the tables of what we would call the sinner, those who committed sexual sins, those who didn't fit within my very small, fundamentalist, evangelical white community, when I should have been doing what Jesus was doing and flip over the tables of those that made such a society, that created those people and put themselves in those situations that they probably didn't even want to be in to begin with. I called myself pro-life, but I was pro-death penalty. I called myself pro-life, but I encouraged war. I called myself pro-life, but I voted for administration that would rather drop thousands and thousands and millions of dollars of bombs on people that were completely innocent, that weren't even part or contributing to the government issues, when they could have been dropping millions and thousands of dollars in our communities to prevent death here. So what I want to do is start flipping over the right tables. During the coronavirus pandemic, billionaires increased their wealth by over 27.5%, while millions suffered. While some within our communities, when they were afflicted with coronavirus, were flown in helicopters to the nearest hospital, received the best of the best care, all on the taxpayer's dime, while some incurred literally $1 million worth of medical bills. It's not fair, it's not right, and to be pro-life means that I have to vote common good, and it means I have to vote for Joe Biden this election.
My name is also Daniel, and Daniel, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, let's give him another round of applause. Well, I grew up in a conservative Christian home as well, and it was a wonderful place to grow up. It was full of love, and the community was full of beautiful people who loved their neighbors well, as far as I could see. And that's why I was so disturbed, so shocked that in 2016, 81% of white evangelicals voted for a man that looks nothing like the Jesus that I learned about. I learned about things like the Beatitudes, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek. I learned things like Matthew 25, that what you do unto the least of these, you do unto Jesus. And so I was confused. I felt betrayed in a lot of ways. And I put those emotions and thoughts into this song. And it's a plea to those voices and communities that helped shape my faith to come back to the way of Jesus. It's called Hymn for the 81%. I grew up in your churches, Sunday morning and evening service, death and tears at the foot of the rugged cross. It taught me every life is sacred, feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I learned from you the highest law is love. And I believed you when you said I should trust the words in red to guide my steps through a wicked world. I assumed you'd do the same, so imagine my dismay as I watch you lead the sheep straight to the wolves. And you said to love the lost, so I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, so I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. They started putting kids in cages, ripping mothers from their babies. Yet I look to you to speak on their behalf. But all I heard was silence, or worse, you justified it, singing glory, hallelujah, raise the flag. See, your fear, it turned to hatred, but you baptized it with language torn from the pages of the good book. You weaponized religion, and you wonder why I'm leaving to find Jesus in the wrong side of your walls. And you said to love the lost, so I'm loving you now. You said to speak the truth, so I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the words that you put in my mouth? May love overcome and justice roll down. Come home, come home. You're better than this. You taught me better than this. Come home, come home. You're better than this. You taught me better than this. Come home. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling. Calling, oh sinner, come home. You said to love the lost, I'm trying to love you now. You said to speak the truth, that's why I'm calling you out. Why don't you live the that you put in my mouth. May love overcome, injustice roll down. 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 Thank you so much.
Put this at a normal person's height. I think you just heard the new theme song to my life as well. That's amazing. Thank you, Dan. My name is Mark Sandlin. I am a Presbyterian minister from Greensboro, North Carolina. So I bring you greetings from my church, Presbyterian Church of the Covenant. It is wonderful to be here with you in Florida. Today I want to talk to you about a couple of things, but one thing in particular that we're going to get to. So look, you know, from the story of the Good Samaritan to the 30-some people that Jesus healed, and so many of the events in the life of Jesus, it's easy to see that faith, hope, and love, well, they were a central part of his identity. And if you are a Christian, shouldn't it be for you as well? You see, without those three, faith, hope, love, which includes the recognition of other people's basic human rights and dignity, well, without them, you are bound to get some folks who will fight. They will fight to protect what they perceive to be their own personal interest without regard to the impact, the cost that doing so will have on others. Now I suspect, like me, that you have spent some time watching the news, and if so, you know that is actually the current reality for far too many Americans. Now, a certain portion of our society who once considered themselves faith and family value voters certainly don't outwardly show compassion anymore, particularly when it comes to basic human rights. Now, tell me how is that faith voter? We are here to get you fired up about faith, hope, and love. We happen to believe that if you are a Christian, these three can be and should be a central part of your identity. And we also happen to believe that it should be a central part of your decision-making process when you vote. You see, the lack of compassion that this administration inspires and encourages must be countered with love. Not with hate, not with bullying, and most certainly not with voting for Donald Trump. Because, let me tell you folks, where there is smoke, there is fire. And Trump has done nothing but fan the flames of misogyny, fan the flames of racism, the flames of xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, classism, and white supremacy and privilege. He's put too many of us, too many of our friends, too many of our loved ones under fire. And sometimes all too literally under fire. He is a five-alarm fire, friends, and he adds to the fuel that flames the nation and sets it ablaze. And then he all too casually heads out for a round of golf paid for by the very people whose lives he is causing to go up in smoke. I'm telling you, even his administration's spin factory can't make those things look like biblical hope and love. So we want you to get fired up. When you vote with your faith on your sleeve. Vote for hope. Vote for love, real biblical love. We need his administration to go up in smoke, so vote. Vote Trump out of the White House. But here's the thing. If hope, faith, and love, if they really are central to your identity, over the next 24 days leading up to what many are rightfully calling the most important election in all of our lifetimes, I know that voting just simply isn't going to be enough for you. No, because your faith, because of faith, hope, and love, you want to keep more people seeing that voting for the current administration is simply not the compassionate thing to do. So, let me help you out with just one simple idea of what more you can do. That one simple idea is joining our Vote Common Good Calling Bank team. And I have to say, I told you earlier, I'm from North Carolina, so I'm pretty excited about this particular one because this Sunday, tomorrow, we'll actually be calling folks from my home state, North Carolina. And like Florida, it's a swing state. So we'll specifically be calling young folks who have a passion for environmental causes and issues. We still need a few people. We still need a few callers, and you can make a difference by being one of them. So just head right over here to our booth and sign up there, or you can just text GOOD, G-O-O-D, to 66866, and you'll get all the information you need, and you can sign up there. So, like I said, I'm an ordained minister, and we ministers love our scripture. So I'm going to finish up with one piece of scripture here. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another. And by this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. So, get out and vote. Let hope, faith, and love lead you. Show your love for others by ensuring a new administration in 2021. And I thank you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your listening. I'm Mark Sandlin here, reminding you to wear a mask, wash your hands, love one another.
I have to say, I've always been excited to do these, but when I see a youngster out there, I miss my God babies. But I'm here for the kids. I want them to be able to see a polar bear and to see the sunshine that's not going to burn their skin off. I want this child right there to grow up and know the world I knew growing up. And full of love, and to see ants and play in the woods and just have a good life. So thank you for bringing him. Although you made me miss my God babies, so there. So thank you guys for being here, and I gotta get a guitar pick up. This is a song I wrote just about we just need to be better people than we are, and I think everyone here is really good, but we need to push that on. I think if you love somebody, then they're going to love somebody. And it does really trickle down. There is a trickle-down effect, not just for the rich, but for the love, too. So we just need to do that.
all we do is build a wall. How can we claim we're not all the same when God made us all? And how we gonna raise our babies? Yeah, how we gonna teach them grace? We preach about love on Sundays, but Mondays it's back to hate. So here's another song about loving each other, just another song about digging down deep. Take a good look at the heart of your brother. Yeah, we all laugh, we all love, and we all bleed. Tomorrow, yeah, 'cause everybody's had enough of all of the hurt and the hatred. We could show you some love, oh, but getting there it won't be easy. There's so much work to be done. For better or worse, it's all up to us. But a change has just got to come. So here's another song about loving each other, just another song about digging down deep. Take a good look at the heart of your brother. We all laugh, we all love, and we all bleed. But a change has got to come. Yeah, so here's another song about love. Yeah, here's another song about love.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I don't think she told you, but her name is Steph Mahan, and she's out of Nashville, Tennessee. So, Steph, we're so glad to have you. Hey, friends, we'd love to take you with us. We like to refer to this as our Harvey Milk moment of our afternoon because we're here to recruit you. Now, we can't take you with us on the big orange bus as we travel around because we're trying to quarantine in there, and that's why we do all this with the microphones and the distance and all. But we do want to have you in the tank with us, if you know what I'm saying. We'd love to put you in that tank by taking any donation that you make today and turning it into the fourth thing that gets us around this country, because you know three of what gets us around: faith, hope, and love. And that fourth, you guessed it, diesel. Diesel moves that big baby around the country, and we need you. We're going to be going up to St. Pete, which is just a short drive here tomorrow. We're going to be over in St. Pete, but then we head north, and we head all the way up into Georgia, and then we go over to North Carolina, and then we go to Ohio, and then we go to Pennsylvania. Then we pull that big baby up outside of the White House on November 3rd and send a message with all the rest of you that faith, hope, and love has come to town. So we'd love to take you with us. Now, there's a couple ways you can make a donation over there, and we're not just begging for your money. We want to give you a little something, too. We'd love for you to take one of these signs and set it outside of your house. This hope not hate, faith not fear, love not lies sign goes great with a Biden-Harris sign, or goes great with the candidate that you're supporting, or something else, because it adds to the message. Because we know you've all woken up. That's why you're here. We know you're willing to speak up, and we know you're willing to stand up, and we want to help you do it. So these signs are designed to do that. So we'd love to send you home with a sign. We don't make these to carry around with us, right? We make them and carry them around so we can give them to all of you before you leave. So please stop by the tent over there. Or maybe there's a bumper sticker. And while you're over there, we want you to know about these cards. These postcards, one of my favorite things. We'd love to send you home with a pack of postcards. Now, there's 15 of them in here. And these aren't just Florida souvenir postcards that we've all become so fond of. On the front side, it's got a message. This one says the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is what we expect from our leaders. Join me in stopping Donald Trump on Election Day. There's 3 different styles of this. Now, the fronts are great, but the back is where the genius is, because that's where you get to write any message you have, and then you get 15 of these cards, and inside your pack, you get a list of 15 faith voters from right here in South Florida. So what we want you to do Because we know you can't go door to door, and we know not everybody's going to answer their phone. But you know what people still do? They still go to their mailbox. And when they pull out a postcard with a handwritten note on the other side, they just can't help it. So we send you 15 faith voters' addresses. Now, we think these people are going to vote. We think many of them are probably have never heard anybody say to them, join me in stopping Donald Trump on Election Day because of your faith. So we think this is a great project. We've sent out more than 13,000 of these postcards already, and we'd love to have you be part of that because we think it makes a really big difference. Here's what we know about people who change their behavior. It doesn't matter what the behavior is, right? Behavioral change experts tell us whether this is changing the way you vote or changing the way you wear a mask or the way you wash your hands or changing the way you eat, any of this. 3 things have to happen. One is a person needs information. We all need information. But information isn't enough. The second thing that people need is an invitation. Someone saying to them, do this, join me, act in this way. Information and invitation. But the third and most crucial piece is they need a community to join that participates in that new action. Those are the 3 things that make change. So you might think that you've been telling everybody everything you've got to tell them. And you've been inviting everybody that you can. But a postcard or a sign or a Facebook status update or a conversation at the grocery store, those are the hints and clues that people have a community that they can join. So we'd love to have you join a community of people. So see this tent as a participation tent, that we want you to participate with us to get us around. Now, I also need to make a little correction on something that I said earlier, because Greg, who's watching us online, because not only do we get crowds of people like this out here, and sometimes big ones and sometimes little teeny ones, but we have these thousands of people that watch us online. Greg sent me a text right during this, said, hey, I'm watching online, but I'd just like you to correct the record on something. This is Greg, who lived in Des Moines, his hometown. He said, you did not get kicked out of a Goodwill parking lot in Des Moines. You got kicked out of a Goodwill parking lot in Sioux City, Iowa. So he asked me to correct the record in front of all of you, and I'm glad to do that. So we did not get kicked out of that parking lot in Des Moines, but out of Sioux City. People care. That's what I'm getting at. I think it's so fun. So glad for the message, Greg. So glad that you sent it. People are listening, and people care. And friends, we need you. It really does matter. We're going to ask you to make a commitment here today, the Harvey Milk moment. We'd ask you to give an hour every day. You've already given an hour today by being here with us. For the next 23 days, would you commit right now to dedicating an hour of each of the next 23 days to doing something, to giving somebody some information, giving somebody some invitation, or asking someone to join you in a community of common good when it comes to Election Day? Would you make that commitment? We'd love to have you join us in that. Vince is going to serenade us. You're going to hear from Brian. You're going to hear from Rob. Genesis is going to tell us a little truth, and then we're going to sing again. So we're so glad to have you with us. Thanks for being with us today. Consider making a commitment of an hour a day for the next 23 days as our participation, because friends, we need you now.
Thank you, Doug. I know times are tough now, and many doors are closed. We step in to the light, only wind up feeling alone. They say we should walk by faith and not to walk by sight. Damn, it's dark out here. Yeah, and it's hard to see at night. Sometimes the tears, they don't stop now. And I wonder, will we just dry up? Blow away like the sand, all alone in this dry land. we cry out, is there anybody there? Is there anybody listening? Yeah, does anybody care? All around, all we see is pain, and we feel it now, deep within. Where we pray, make earth like heaven. Yeah, but when will that begin? Heaven seems so far, so far from our grasp. How long must we suffer here now? How long will this all last? Please don't give up, 'cause we need you now. We need you now. Please don't give up, no, 'cause we need you now. We need you now, right now. Let me see your hands. Are you with us? Come, let me see those hands. Yeah, please don't give up now, 'cause we need you now. We need you now, yeah. Please don't give up, no, 'cause we need you now. We need you now, right now.
Oh my. I needed that, Vince. I needed that. Thank you, my friend. Did you all need that a little bit too? Hey, I just want to use a couple minutes to say some sincere thanks. You know, I live here in Florida. I was born in New York. I lived in Maryland most of my life, but I lived here in Florida for over 10 years now, and I'm really just glad to devote kind of good folks for coming to Florida. Vince, thank you for your music that stirs our soul and tells us not to give up. Thank you, my friend. Hey, Genesis, you're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your poetry. Thank you for your wit. Thank you for strength that isn't vicious, but is still powerful. Thank you so much. My goodness. Hey, Daniel, that song, it just speaks a truth that's so deep, doesn't it? That you all might not know this, but he got fired because of that song. And I want to thank you. And before I go on with thanks, I want to tell you some people I don't thank. I don't thank all the white pastors and worship
leaders who never spoke up and who never risked their job, who were so afraid, so cowardly. They didn't have the courage or the wit or the cleverness of the folks you just heard from. They just stayed silent. Now, if you saw their heart of hearts, you might look in and say, they're really not racists. But they sure acted like it by their silence. They were too afraid to stand up to the sin of racism in their white congregations. I was a pastor for 24 years. I know what it's like to get angry emails. I know what it's like to have people who used to tithe stop tithing and then leave entirely because you said some things they didn't want to hear. So I want to say no thanks to all the pastors who played it safe and stayed quiet. No thanks to them. I want to say thanks to Pastor Miller for having us here. You know, Joe Biden said something recently. He said to all the white folks, he said, can you imagine how hard it would be to be black in America and still love America? Did you hear when he said that? And I want to say, I'm just so amazed at the African American pastors and the Latina pastors and the Asian pastors and Native Americans who keep loving America and who keep loving me. It would be so easy to give up on all the white folks who have disappointed anyone who had hope that they would improve their behavior. I got to tell you something. I'm so grateful for Vote Common Good, for the folks who drive the bus and handle the tables and handle the technology and do all the setup. I'm so grateful for everybody because you've gone out around this country to find very, very few white evangelicals and white Catholics who voted for Donald Trump and will have the courage to make a change this time. Most of them, sadly, too many of them, are still going to go on in the same selfish, ignorant, arrogant ways. No thanks to them, but thanks to you, Daniel. And thanks to all the people who voted for Donald Trump last time and now have the courage to change their vote and tell somebody about it. Listen, some of y'all might not know. Some of you might not know. A person goes public about changing and their family doesn't treat them the same. Congregation doesn't treat them the same. There's some pretty ugly stuff that happens when people have that kind of courage. Thank you to you, Daniel. And I want to finally just say to the whole Vote Common Good team and to all the folks who are listening at a distance, as a guy who lives in Florida, thank you. Thanks for coming down here. You know, Florida is a strange state. We've got an ugly racist history. I guess we're one county up now. I live in Collier County, but in between us is Lee County. And you know who Lee County is named after. And you know that if you get in trouble with the law in Lee County, you have to go to the Lee County Courthouse named after Robert E. Lee, and you have to walk past a statue of Robert E. Lee. And when you come into the courthouse, there's a mural in the back with a mural of Robert E. Lee. Do you understand? That language was chosen to send a message. And this state of Florida has an ugly history that behind the sunshine and behind the palm trees and the beautiful live oaks, there's some ugly history that hasn't been accounted for. We saw it when Trayvon Martin was killed, and the murderer got away with it. Many of you might not know this, but you remember Bree Newsom, who climbed the flagpole in South Carolina to take down the Confederate flag? You might not know this, but one county, probably one county north and east of here in Florida, had never had a Confederate flag flying in front of their county courthouse. And they voted the following Monday to put up a Confederate flag. Do you understand? That's real here in Florida. No thanks to all those people who've been quiet, but thanks to all of you and thanks to all who are watching who are going to help make a difference in Florida, make a difference in North Carolina, and make a difference in Pennsylvania, and make a difference around this country, which will make a difference around this world. While we were sitting here, I got a text that some of the most recent polling data came out. And according to this poll at this moment, here in the state of Florida, Joe Biden is 3 points ahead. Now, that's not close enough. We need to go a lot farther than that. I won't feel safe until we're in the double digits, and I won't be safe until all the votes are actually counted. But here's the thing. I wish I could tell you that more people were having an awakening like Daniel did. An awakening to realize that they were tricked by people who used the slogan pro-life. They were tricked by those people to support racist, anti-poor policies that hurt the entire environment and keep people in prison and keep people under the heel of the elites. Listen, some of the white folks in Florida who changed their vote, they won't do it for the right reason. The only reason they'll do it is because they're old and they realize they're very much at risk of COVID-19, and it's only because of their own skin that they're going to change their vote. I'm glad they're going to change their vote, but I hope in the process something deeper will happen. And thanks to everybody here for not just caring about changing the vote, but also to care about changing the soul of this nation. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Ryersey. I'm a pastor from Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's good to see you today. Thank you. I'm back on the bus today, and so it's great to be back. I've been thinking about those days in our lives that change history. We all have those days in the course of our lives that we woke up one morning and we're going through a normal, regular day, and then something happened and we went to bed that night different. There's those days that kind of split the calendar of our lives. For me, the day after Election Day 2016 was one of those days. I woke up completely horrified at what our country had decided to do, the election of Donald Trump, and particularly what my political party as a Republican had participated in that, and how my tribe as a white evangelical had participated in that. Completely horrified. And I had this sense that I had to do something. I could not any longer be who I was the day before. I had to do something, and I had no idea what that meant. And then there was another one of those days that kind of split the history of my life. It was a day that felt like a very normal day, that it was just like nothing special about this, like any given Tuesday, right? And I came home from the office that day, and my wife had listened to a podcast about an organization that was recruiting people to run for Congress. And I came through the door, and she held her phone out at me, and she said, "You've got to listen to this. You've got to do this." And that led to me deciding I was going to run for Congress. I don't know, have you ever had that day where you get up and have a normal day and then you go to bed thinking, hey, I might run for Congress? It's one of those days that like split the history of my life. Spoiler alert, I didn't win. But I did learn a lot through the process. I ran this long shot grassroots campaign as a progressive Republican against one of Donald Trump's biggest supporters in Washington, D.C. And you know what it means to be a progressive Republican, right? It means nobody likes you. That's what it means. It means nobody likes you at all, which isn't good when you're running for office, but that's probably a whole different story. But I learned through that so many things about standing up, about speaking up, about waking up to the issues that exist in our world and how they're all intertwined. But that was a day that changed my life. Listen, we're 24 days away from another one of those really, really big days that could split history in half. We cannot continue on the path that we are on right now. We cannot stay on the trajectory that we are on right now. It is bad for our nation and for the planet. We have got to change history on Election Day. And that means that every day between now and November 3rd, we have got to be active. You have got to be speaking up with your friends and family members, talking to them about what their plan is to vote, who they're going to vote for, making sure they understand how to vote, what the process is like. There's lots of confusion and misinformation out there. You've got to take every single day between now and Election Day to make sure that the people in your life are ready to vote and are going to do it. And you've got to stand up and do whatever it takes to get them to the polls. Like, this is one of those days that we have got to make a difference on Election Day, and we've got to make every day between now and then count. Thank you so much.
Doug, you're so tall. I can't believe this. Again, y'all, my name is Genesis B. I'm really grateful for you to be sharing this time and space with us here at Vote Common Good. Again, I am a daughter of Mississippi. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I have a question for you before I start this new piece. Now, the question's not rhetorical. I would really, really appreciate an answer. And there's no wrong answer. So I want y'all to give it to me, okay? Give it to me straight. What's on your heart? If Trump disappeared today, right now, poof, what would America do? Celebrate? Any other takers? Turn off the news. Oh, I like that. There's no wrong answer, y'all. If Trump disappeared today, what would America do? Would there still be all this commotion? Would America still worship money? Would we still pollute the oceans? Would we still imprison black men and shoot them down with no emotion? Would women still be the smartest in the room and still get passed up for promotions? What would America do if Trump no longer exists? Would we still destroy our planet for profit? Would we still have private prisons, the new slave trade in auction? Would men still write laws dictating what women do with our bodies, stripping away anatomical autonomy? Would we still shame women who use sex as commodity, but not shame men who buy sex and pornography? Think about it. Would we still turn a blind eye to all this hypocrisy? What would America do if it was up to you? Would you finally purge law enforcement of white supremacist bigots? Would you finally grant equal rights to poor whites and immigrants? Would preachers still use the pulpits to pimp our communities? Would boys still be boys, raping and assaulting with impunity? Would we still ignore the killing of trans folks? Because this is where America stands, folks. To know what would America do, I ask, what has America done? Well, for one, we massacred our native population. We did that. From the blood of black slaves, we built the richest of nations. We waged war before, many times. We cried wolf with terrorist threats. You remember weapons of mass destruction? Remember that, Daniel? It's crazy how quickly we forget. I've seen America burn crosses on the lawns of my father. I've seen America separate mothers and toddlers. I've seen America vote for men whose only moral is money. Men who appeal to the sexism and racism of my beautiful Christian country. So here we are. Search for a savior to save us from the big orange goblin. Some magical Democrat that will solve all our nation's problems. But Trump is just a symptom of a money-hungry system that never had regard for our troops, no regard for the truth, no regard for the planet, no regard for the youth. Trump was born into this, just like you and I. Trump is as American as apple pie. Sorry to break it to you. So I won't ask, what would America do? I know what America's done. Instead, I ask, what can America be if we step up in the days to come? Can we be a place where pharmaceutical riches do not result in more sickness, where corporations have constraint and cannot buy our politicians, where the money we use to wage war goes to healing Mother Earth or building houses for the poor? It's just a thought. A place where all synagogues are safe, y'all. Where our Muslim brothers and sisters and siblings are looked upon with grace. Where young girls can walk the streets without being harassed because young boys are taught to understand the traumatizing effect that has. So what can America be, y'all? A place where someone who looks like me and loves like me can actually feel safe and free? Where black and brown women are not minimized and the image of us outside reflects the power of our insides? Our potential, our resilience, our imagination, and our brilliance. Because my ancestors fought for me to have a voice. They fought for me to have a vote. So I talk my shit and I cast my ballot. I honor them by doing both. Because they knew what America could be. But it starts with you and it starts with me. Because although he spews lies and his actions show cowardice, assigning that much power to any man will eventually render you powerless. That's right, powerless. So don't ask, what would America do? Ask, what can America be? And the answer to that question, my friends, is solely up to you and me. I'm Genesis B. Thank you.
Thank you, Genesis B. Hey, our final part of the night is, or afternoon, until we do these at night. Our final part of our afternoon is a time where we're going to ask all of you to stand up. And if you don't already have one of these little postcard or little bookmarks in your hand, I would invite you to have one. We'll hand one out. It's what we call our Love and Politics Pledge. Now, here's the thing about the Love and Politics Pledge. This is not a pledge that we're asking politicians to make. I think people in the back need them back there. This is a pledge that we ask voters to take, where we're going to ask you to hold your elected officials accountable. On the one side, you'll see the 4 commitments to Love and Politics Pledge, that you make a request, a demand of everyone who's going to represent you that they would comport themselves in a way consistent with love in their professional and public duties. We don't think it's too much to ask if someone wants to represent you that they put a little bit of love in their politics. Amen? And then the second commitment is that if someone does act in a way of love, you will recognize it and acknowledge it, no matter whose party they're from. Love is not a partisan issue. Thirdly, if someone, even from your party, does not act in a way consistent with love, that you will call them out and demand that they make a change. And fourthly, that you will demand that politicians stand up to one another in how they act in a way of love. You know, politics seems to be the only industry that doesn't have a way to self-regulate itself, right? So what we're asking you to do is to say to politicians, no more of this, I wouldn't tweet it like that, and have the nerve to call one another in their same profession to act in a way consistent with love. So we ask you to make those commitments, and anytime somebody asks for your vote, you ask them to comport themselves in a way consistent with love. Wouldn't that be a change in the way that we engage in this world? Now, we do a little love call. We do a little love call out, a little afternoon love yell in the park. So friends, I'm gonna say the word love 13 times in a row, and you're gonna say all the words that are on this little sheet. Now, we've been trying this different ways. Sometimes you say love and I say the other words, and sometimes we've done it like this. So I'm gonna say love, and you're gonna say all these other words. You ready? Here we go. Love, 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 love. Love it. Love. 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 And love. And love. And love always perseveres. May we have a little more love in our politics, friends. Hey, we appreciate you being with it. We believe it's possible. This is our final song, and we'd love to hang out in the park here with you for the afternoon. Thanks for being with us today.
chains. I believe the wounded bird can fly. I believe that the mountains gonna crumble to the ground. I believe that the valley one day will rise. I believe in a masterpiece called hope, bathed in the glorious light of love now. I believe in a voice singing wisdom song. I believe in that song every note, and I still believe, and I still believe. I believe we will rise through the symptoms and the cause to a place where there's truly hope for all. We'll rejoice in a land where borders are no more. Gonna witness the crumbling of the walls. I believe a new creation truly is at hand. Wrestle from the tight grip of the proud. We will join together, arm in arm, hand in hand, reclaim the beauty of this land. I still believe, and I still believe, I still believe, yeah, 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 and I still believe.